My friends, how did you know when you were in love? For me, it started not with a rush or a whisper, but with a scream and a cry. I was about 18 or 19. There was like 1-inch graph paper and these strangely shaped dice I'd never seen before. And all I remember is standing and screaming at the top of my lungs to my brother in Order and Chaos, Pixel, who was dungeon mastering for the first time.
You never cared. You never bothered to understand.
Understand what? That my little sister is pretending to be someone else? Acting as a criminal?
Only because it was the only way to get you to notice me.
I remember crying, actual tears, at the corner of my eyes. Then we broke scene because our friends had been so worried that we'd had secret beef, and they'd never seen an outburst like that from either of us. But we'd been fine. Pixel and I had been improvising since primary school, and imaginary games of Digimon were pretty much the same as something like that. So when they were reassured when that Scarlet, that's me, as a person was fine, and so was our GM, we continued. When I sat back down, I'd felt so strange. I hadn't been myself in that moment, you see. I'd been Lady Locket, tiefling bard, pickpocket extraordinaire, and younger sister to the commanding officer of the totalitarian regime we lived under, who hadn't seen her sister in years, and just wanted her to come home. The game continued, but my heart wouldn't stop racing. My character had felt real. Her pain and her story had felt real. And that's when I knew. Hi, I'm Scarlet Song, your not-a-lycan lorebrarian. I'm a professional game master, artist, and today I thought I'd tell you about how I fell in love with Table Top Roleplay. Now, like many of you who have clicked on this video, I'm part of a newer wave of players who started playing in maybe the last 2 decades or so. And like a lot of you, I started with D&D 5e. I own a bundle of the 5e books. I'm a huge fan of supplemental content from indie creators like Antonio D'Amico or Hit Point Press. I've easily played and GM'd over 3,000 hours of the game, and like you might be, I became a fan of Critical Role. I started with Campaign 2 and 3 episodes of Dimension 20. Or maybe you found a smaller streamer or podcast group that you fell in love with. My sister loves girls who don't play D&D. Or you might have even clicked on this video because you know me through actual play series like The College of Inspiration, PhoenixIwaki, or Quest Junkies UK, all known best for their 5e series. A lot of us in the current environment started with 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, and I am so grateful for that moment in the garage. But I can't say that it was the moment I fell in love. That particular campaign itself only lasted a little while longer, maybe like 3 more sessions. I don't remember much of it other than it was Black Rock Shooter themed, and there was a magical floating keyboard or bongos, maybe both, I don't remember. I got busy with uni, thesis work, and honestly I was starting to feel really sick and frustrated of life at that moment. Have you ever just wanted to get up and move, pick up everything and get away because you feel stuck? I did. And in about 2016, I actually moved to Japan. I left my friends and loved ones, the scenes I was part of, and TTRPGs most definitely too. I wanted to learn who I was when I wasn't myself, where I could be someone new and different in a different social environment. And if that doesn't sound like foreshadowing, I don't know what does. I actually really recommend to give yourself some more alone time than you think you need. Because if there was one thing I learned by being by myself and being alone with myself for 5 years, it was who I was when I was alone. And what I was a big freaking nerd who missed her friends desperately, but who was still an absolutely awkward bean who can't do anything without the excuse of doing an activity. So I asked my friends, and Pixel and my sister, if they'd be willing to play some D&D with me. And I wanted to give back and make sure it definitely happened, so I wanted to be the game master. And I quickly fell in love with what I think is actually the most important aspect of group TTRPG play. And that's the collaborative storytelling part. Now note, my first campaign was a mess. I might tell you about it later if you ask politely. My friends came in thinking that it was a dungeon crawl style, come in, hit the thing! But it ended up being a massive political drama spanning generations and used the lore of song dragons, which are really cool, and I'm super mad that Fizzbands didn't contain anything on it because And then after about 12 sessions, it was supposed to be 3, I finished the campaign and my other friend, Rain, asked if they could GM the next one and if I wanted to be a player. That campaign ended up going for 3 years and I was very happy with my magpie bird tip. During that time, I told other stories. I found a group of people who were willing to play a pirate one-shot with me, which then very quickly spiraled into a pirate mini-campaign. And then I found another group who were willing to play weekly with me, and another group who were willing to play a Feywild-style Hunger Games one-shot series. And it was about some time when I was making an entire continent for the All Bard game, where I kind of stopped through making a map and creating a monk class about capoeira, and I realized something. Wait, do I really love this? Realistically, I was already pretty deep in by that point. I'd fallen in love with the stories and the RP and all of the amazing players and the way they wanted to tell stories. I've always loved people and the way that they embody characters. You guys are just so cool, do you know that? I'll skip some of the rougher parts, but thanks to various sparks of interest and a game of Mouse Guard and the OGL drama of 2023 that I honestly think we shouldn't forget, I learned to love other games too. Games that didn't use dice, or used seeds, or cards, or just were new and different. And in a weird stroke of shocking events, I now get to run them professionally for you guys. Truthfully, while 5e is my bread and butter, it's not actually my favorite system anymore. I would say that goes to more like Forged in the Dark-esque games because of the way that they lend themselves to really truly collaborative play. But in the end, how did I fall in love with TTRPGs? Honestly, by finally noticing that it truly made me happy. But that's me. I want to hear about you, honestly. I want to hear how it happened for you, why you clicked on this video. What's your story? Please, I love to learn these things. Do you have a world of your own? Or maybe you're part of someone else's? Would you be willing to share it down in the comments section? Or if you would prefer to just lurk, consider liking and subscribing. No pressure, I just appreciate it. Thank you. Thus ends story time for today. But till next time, I love you very much. Jia jia.